Hello, my name is Marc Woolward and I'm the Chief Technology Officer and CISO for vArmour. Prior to my time at vArmour, I was also a CTO and Technology Fellow at Goldman Sachs, where one of my responsibilities was to lead the application resilience function for the European region. Welcome to our talk. Today we're going to be talking about operational and cyber resilience and how it relates to a number of the emerging regulatory requirements around the world. Cyber resilience enables organisations to continue to deliver critical digital functions to their customers during disruptive incidents, such as an operational failure or a cyber attack. Delivered correctly, it can also reduce the chances of service impacting events occurring in the first place by putting proactive measures in place to identify and reduce risk. In sectors such as banking and finance, this is a key tenet of operational resilience requirements, which also encompass other organisational and procedural measures. In Special Publication 800-160, the National Institute for Science and Technology defines cyber resilience thus. Cyber resilience is the ability to anticipate, withstand, recover from, and adapt to adverse conditions, stresses, attacks, or compromises on systems that use or are enabled by cyber resources. So, cyber resilience provides organisations with the capability of withstanding, avoiding, and when necessary, recovering from a varied set of threats, from cyber attacks to IT failures, and less predictable events such as a pandemic. For many organisations, delivering critical infrastructure, such as financial services, utilities, and government agencies and departments, resilience has become a matter of regulatory priority and obligation. Over the past several years, it's become apparent that the existing approaches to business continuity were not working, resulting in huge disruption to critically important services, from access to money and banking facilities to disruption to energy supplies. Increasingly, digital organisations are now dependent upon extremely complex and interdependent systems in ways few organisations completely understand. These systems have often grown almost organically. They're often highly distributed across complex multi-generational computing environments, and they change often, with the growth of CI/CD development models driven by the need for constant innovation. In addition to this, the level of complexity and change, we've also seen increasingly sophisticated cyber threats such as ransomware and targeted APTs. This has led us to the place we are today, where regulators are focusing more on resilience than recovery, since recovery scenarios in most business continuity plans aren't the ones that cause massive disruption in reality. Following numerous really severe disruptions, the financial services regulators around the world have led the demand for operational and cyber resilience, but many other sectors such as utilities and governments are also required to deploy controls in line with the NIST specifications for cyber resilience. The penalties for not complying with resilience mandates are severe, including fines, both corporate and individual, compensation, and reputational damage. A recent event in the UK saw the TSB hit with fines and compensation payouts approaching $100 million before the additional impact of reputational damage is considered. And the new DORA regulations will provide provision for fines of up to 1% of global turnover while in violation. First, we should recognise that many regulators' operational resilience requirements address organisational, procedural, and technical requirements. Focusing on the technical requirements, there's common recognition that the resilience and risk assessments of critical business functions needs to improve. Firstly, an organisation needs to establish the scope of the system required to deliver critical business functions and map them to understand their dependencies. Once the map's understood, then the organisation can conduct a business impact analysis and establish whether impact tolerances can be met. Then they can conduct risk assessments to establish specific risks and adverse conditions that might impact the ability to deliver the critical business function as required. While there are other specifics dependent upon organisation, region and sector, this process of mapping, assessing impact and risk is core to all regulatory resilience requirements. Really, it's all about situational awareness and an accurate knowledge of the environment. If you have the ability to fully understand the composition of your critical business functions, then you can ask the questions you need about the risks to resilience, you can avoid incidents, and you can also recover more quickly when an event occurs. Well, firstly, a dependency map of critical business functions is a fairly common mandatory requirement in itself. But the more important point here is what the map and the situational awareness it provides allows you to achieve. Firstly, it provides you with an understanding of scope. What are all of the components that I need to deliver in order to deliver a critical business function? Secondly, it can help you avoid failures by making good decisions when it comes to operational change, for example. Number three, it enables you to recover more quickly from failures, and it also helps you to verify that you recovered. And finally, it enables you to recognise and address risks and violations of best practice. This is where a proactive risk management strategy enables organisations to become predictive. For example, to identify where my critical business function has a dependency that doesn't meet the recovery time objectives established during the business impact analysis. So, a map, provided it contains the necessary information and context, can become the basis for delivering a resilient business service. Let's take a quick look at the 2019 European Banking Authority's requirements for ICT security and risk management. This regulation applies to around 160 systemically critical regulated entities across Europe. First, Section 53 refers to the requirement for a dependency map allowing organisations the ability to avoid operational incidents. So, for instance, reviewing dependencies before change and testing the potential impact of a security policy. Next, we come to Section 54, which addresses the ability of a map to allow an organisation to recover more quickly from incidents. This includes meeting some of the CISO recommendations around recovering from ransomware attacks and also verifying that a service has been restored to its previously known good state. And then finally, we have Section 78, which talks about the ability to use an accurate map to help assess the risks and impact to a critical business function. So that could include, identifying RTO mismatches, identifying attack surface risk, and managing production to non-production exposure within a large and complex environment. So where's all this going? Well, today organisations need a consistent control that enables business service owners to manage their own risk and meet their regulatory obligations with appropriate oversight. Today's best practice of manual manipulation of spreadsheets has been proven to be inadequate in this respect. There's an evolution from infrequent to continuous testing and assessment. Right now, most regulators require this work to occur regularly and at least annually. But when this information is almost a year old, then it can be of limited value during a real incident. We need something data-driven, using data to produce accurate results without disruptive and expensive fire drills. And finally, we need proactive and predictive risk assessment, allowing our organisations to get ahead of issues and proactively reduce risk to their customers, markets and organisation, rather than waiting and responding to the inevitable incident. At vArmour, we believe that cyber resilience is not just a regulatory necessity, but a strategic differentiator for our clients. We also believe that the capabilities of Relationship Cloud enables our customers to meet their current regulatory obligations and will also position them for future developments in the state-of-the-art of enterprise risk management. So